Hi Scrapbookers, it's Katie Scott, and I am starting a little series on making a tribute album for someone who has died. And so the first video here, I'm going to be putting together scrapbook pages from other scrapbooks. So I pulled the albums off the shelves, and I pulled out pages, and I put together this album. And then I've identified places where I still need to tell stories, and the next few videos will be me making those pages, and then the final video in this series will be a final album share. So hopefully this is all going to go together quickly because the memorial service is on Saturday. So it's Tuesday right now. So I have a lot of work to do, and I plan to share it with you. So get your scrapbooking materials ready and work along with me as I go through putting together a tribute album. Okay, let's go. Hey Scrapbookers, this is Charles Mack Scott Sr., or just the first. He's we named my son after him, and he's my father-in-law. He was 95 years old, and he died on December 30th, 2015, which was not that long ago. We are planning his memorial at our house this coming Saturday, January 16th. So what we're going to be doing today is gathering a bunch of scrapbook pages about him to make a scrapbook tribute album that will be on display at the service. There's another book that I made for him that was like an autobiography of his that he wrote, where I added the pictures, and that he looked at so often in the last several years. That will be on display too, but anyways, I just think it will be really nice to have a scrapbook there as well. And I don't have a particular scrapbook about him, so this video, and perhaps a short series of videos, because it's already Tuesday and the memorial is on Saturday, so I don't have a ton of time. But this video will be pulling together that album and then seeing what I'm missing so that I can make pages to complete that album to have ready for display on Saturday. So I have a short deadline here. Okay, hold on just a sec. Okay, I just changed the angle a little bit of the camera. It's been months and months since I have made a scrapbooking video, and if you want to see the explanation for why, go over to Get It Scrapped. In the non-scrapbook related board, I tell my whole story of 2015. Yeah, so there's some pictures that I snapped of my father-in-law, who was 95. I just took these a couple of months ago. He got to the point where he really couldn't be left alone, and when he was still mobile, he was like, he was very healthy, so he was like a busy toddler, you know, and you just had to like keep him occupied and make sure he doesn't go in the wrong places or leave the house and go to the neighbor's house, that sort of thing. Okay, anyways, let's get started on creating a tribute album. And I wanted to show you before we got too started on that, I have one that I made about my dad. So I've just gone over to my my Expedit shelves, and I've grabbed all the scrapbooks that said either people, and that was from like the Stacy Julian style of Library of Memories. So that's people, places, things, and us. But I have albums that are in those categories from the Library of Memories. But then I also have more categories. So I have Ancestry as a category. And then I also have like birthdays, and I just have more specific. Okay, this is the one I was looking for. So this is a good time to tell you that if you haven't seen my videos before, with my YouTube videos, I do not rehearse this. It's not scripted. I just press record and start talking. I am planning to create a series of classes involved that talk about finding your family history stories. Those videos will be more professional, more rehearsed, scripted, and this is also a good time to tell you I've joined the girls that Get It Scrapped in and getting a kitty cat. So it was my daughter's cat, and now it's my cat, and there she goes. She's not used to me filming, but she now lives here in this room because the dog wants to eat her. I mean, like, the dog really wants to eat her. So she's just a little tabby cat, and she's not the most affectionate cat I've ever had, but my daughter really wanted a cat, and then she really didn't want a cat, so now she lives in my room. So we'll see how this goes, but you're probably going to need to get off the table there, kitty cat. Can you see her? See if I can focus in a little bit on her. I don't know. She's so she's probably about 4 months old, and my daughter keeps feeding her like a ton. She's a little bitey. So she's growing really, really fast. It seems like she went from tiny to regular sized cat, and I'm afraid she's going to double her size. Yeah, she's biting me now. See that? That's not nice. Anyways, let's see if we can show you her cute little face. Oh, she's biting. So she's not all... when she bites, though, she just kind of puts her teeth on me like... I think it's probably an adolescent behavior. Okay, that's enough, though. So, anyways, I have a cat. It's true. And, okay, back to family history. And I had a cat when I lived with my dad. But this is my dad's tribute book. And when he died, I was pregnant with my daughter. So I never got to go to his funeral or anything like that. I did make this book after the fact. And I did it for a trip where I was going to see my aunt, his sister. And so I also had kind of a short deadline to do it. This was probably back in like, yeah, it was 2004 that I would have made these pages. So the style is going to be a lot different. But this is kind of what I'm envisioning for the book about my father-in-law. So that's right, my kids have no more granddads. It's, they're fresh, my husband said, you're fresh out of grandfathers. So, which is true. They were fresh out of grandfathers. So this, this page here, I just wrote down things that remind me of my dad. Fishing, snowmobiling, what does that say? Sectioning our grapefruits for breakfast, which is something that I used to do. Putting grapefruits in our Christmas stockings. Slurpees from 7-Eleven, stamp collecting, the Wee Hills, teaching me how to play chess, honey and bear containers, beehives, bugles with onion dip, Pabst Blue Ribbon beer, eating dinner, watching TV in the living room, Star Trek, Magnum PI, early morning workouts, Indiana Jones, and so it just goes on for different things that I remember about my dad. And then, because I didn't go to his funeral, but because, I won't say I love to give a eulogy, but I think I've done eulogies at 3 different funerals now, and I kind of enjoy doing a eulogy. We have, we're going through that right now with the service on Saturday. Hold on just a second. And there are people in the family that are like, oh no, I could never do that. And I'm kind of the opposite, and oh please, let me do that. Yeah, so here's my dad's obituary. And then this is a eulogy that I wrote, but I never delivered. I probably am not going to read that to you right now. I guess I could, but I'm not going to. Unless you really want me to. And then I'll do it. I'll do another. I'm just not going to do it right now. I could, but I'm not going to. Alright, I will. No, I won't. So, yeah, these videos are unrehearsed. I'm just looking at it now because I haven't looked at it in years. These pictures are really interesting because they have the 2 grandfathers, you know, that we're fresh out of right now. And here I was pregnant with my son. And so I was able to take this boat trip with the 2 that would be grandfathers before my kids were born. And I remember thinking, I think at that point I knew that my dad had a terminal illness. He had a thing called Shy-Drager syndrome. And so I knew that that was going to be a special boat trip. Anyways. And then my son with his two grandfathers. So some of these pictures I almost feel like would go in my father-in-law's book, except that I'm probably just going to leave them in here. But this one reminds me that we took video interviews of my dad because we knew he was dying, and both of my husband's parents back in 2002. So that might be something neat to look at before the service on Saturday. There's my son's baptism. My dad never met my daughter because she was born a month after he died, which is how I can remember how long he's been dead. It's like, oh, how old is Allison? Okay, that's how old he is. And here's some things that he was giving to me because we all knew. I mean, it was, yeah. I know there's some glare there, and I apologize for that. And so what I like about this book is I did gather together a bunch of different photos. And it was really nice to bring this to my aunt because she hadn't seen so many of these photos. But if you notice, what's going on all these pages, not a lot of journaling, right? Like, not like this is just something that was pre-printed, but there's really not much journaling going on besides these first couple of pages. And I think that's okay because I've gathered all the pictures together, or a lot of pictures together in one space. But I also feel like, oh, it might be nice to like type up why this day was special. Yeah, okay. So some of these, these were, I think, pages that I made specifically for this book, and I made them in a hurry back in 2004. And then I think going forward, well, not all of them. It's been a while since I've looked at this book, so I didn't look at this and then turn on the video. As I said, I just push record, and then you're gonna get what you get, and I'm gonna deliver what I can. Anyways, this is a page I think I did because it has a lot of journaling. This was one that I made in probably shortly after 2000. Yeah, these are some pages from a family cookbook that I made, and some more pages that I think I just made, like my wedding, for the purpose of this book. More family photos, my dad and my nephew, trip my dad and I took to Miami Beach way long time ago, my graduation, this award that I won, that was the NCBFAA, like his professional association gave out a scholarship, a national scholarship, and I won it. He was really excited about that, and so was I. Hold on just a sec. Okay, I'm back. Yep, more graduation pictures, pageant pictures, family portraits, houses, learning to ride a bike. And then our family history. And this was actually done by my dad. So that's like a family tree printout from a computer program. And that's it. So, and a bunch of page protectors, which I might want to just go ahead and seal right now. So because what we're going to be doing is pulling the pages about my father-in-law from the various scrapbooks to create a book like this, like I did for my dad. Now, this is my question. Okay, so this is a 3-ring binder album, which is really easy to work with. This is a post-bound album, not so easy. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But, because I was thinking I could pull the pages from my dad's book, put them in a post-bound album, and then use this one to compile my father-in-law's book. Now, the benefits of the 3-ring binder are that I can move the pages around. the benefits of this kind of a book is that it's much smaller. Like, so it's going to be way smaller. It's going to be easier to handle, especially if you're at a, you know, the service. So maybe I will use this, but I'll use the other one to get it going. I don't know. So there's one question: is postbound or 3-ring binder? And the answer is I'm not sure yet. I don't know. One other thing I wanted to show you is this. My father-in-law was a real clever guy, and he had all these files, you know, in his filing cabinet, as people do. And my husband and his mother went through them a while ago and got rid of like a bunch of old bills and stuff like that. But then they saved some of the files, and he had this one file called the Reader's File, and this is everything from the Reader's File, which is what he called it. He wrote, I'm not even kidding, he wrote his own obituary. Seriously, like he, and then this was what I was most excited about, is his mother's family history written by his mother, which we know like virtually nothing about. So I was super excited to find that. Birth certificates. And so what we did is we have all the originals down at the office in that Reader's File. So I just copied everything in that file. So this, it can be for purpose of scrapbooking or telling the story. It can be my working file. So I can just pull something out of here and just use that, like cut it up and use it as the journaling and on a scrapbook page. He's funny. So some of the things were real serious, like my obituary, but then the thing I just laughed about was something that said, "This will frost your ass." And it talks about how the amount of money that they spent for the waterfront home that is now next door to ours is less than what his dentist told him would take to fix his teeth when he was an old guy. So it's just funny. He tells lots of different things. One of the things he told about was how his whole life he had said, well, I want to have Scottish bagpipe player playing Amazing Grace at my funeral because I think I'm Scottish and that's my, you know, what I would think of at a Scottish funeral. But I had him take the DNA tests, and he's actually way more Irish than he is Scottish, even though his last name is Scott. But what was funny is in here, I don't know exactly where it is, but he said, I don't really want, I've changed my mind. I don't want the bagpipes to be playing at my funeral. I want it to be happy. I want it to be more like a celebration of life, which to me sounds pretty Irish. So even though he didn't know he was Irish, it came through anyways, which I thought was pretty cool. Anyways, I'll be probably, if I'm making more pages, I might be grabbing from this book to get some journaling. So I just wanted to show you that. This is not something we're going to be sharing at the family service because he wrote, it seemed like he just, if he had something on his mind, he would go to his computer and just write it down. And there's, like this story, for example, this lady is dead by now that he's talking about, but his, my mother-in-law's best friend had a lot of cats, speaking of cats, and he wrote this whole thing about how much he hates cats, and he really didn't like this lady, so it was not, I think he more like didn't like her than he didn't like cats, because he liked my little cat. I have a picture of him with her. Anyways, so that's a source that I'm, that I'm going to be drawing from for finishing up the book. Alright, are you ready? I don't know if I am. We're going to start pulling pages from scrapbooks. So the title of this scrapbook is People. And this was easy enough to pull from the pages from my shelves because I just use a Brother P-Touch label to label all of my albums. So I knew which albums were likely to have pages about him. because I don't keep my albums in chronological order. But here's one. This is one that I made not too long ago, actually. I made that in 2014, I guess. I feel like yeah, 2014. So there's, and that's when he was 93. So this is definitely going in the album. Let's do, just thinking again of how to most easily put that album together. And what I think I'm going to do is just do it right in the album of my dad. Now it's not going to stay like this, but let's take those page protectors that we took from the back of the album, and then we'll just put them in the front of the album. So that way I can skip around, you know, just as I find pages, pull them out of the old scrapbooks and put them into this scrapbook. And I don't have to be super concerned about the order, so I can just, I know this is awkward. I feel like doing another disclaimer, like, again, I want to tell you that this is unrehearsed and this is how I like to do my YouTube videos. I imagine, though, doing a class, which I'm hopefully going to be doing this year in 2016, that I will, doing a class, things will be edited. But for my own, you know, for making these videos that I've been making on YouTube, even though I haven't been doing them recently, I like to have them not be edited and have them be candid, just so that you feel like, I don't know. So you can see, like, actually how long it takes, because you know, number one, I really appreciate scrapbooking process videos where everything is all put together and it's a quick little video and you get to know everything you need to know in 10 minutes. But I like making real-time videos because, number one, it's easier for me. I don't have to do any editing. So I'm more likely to make them if I don't have to do too much work. But also, it shows you, like, I feel like a lot of times in those 10-minute videos, you think, like, well, I must be a totally inadequate scrapbooker if I can't make something in 10 minutes, like that girl just made, you know, this beautiful page in 10 minutes. So I like to show how long it actually takes, from I have no idea what I'm doing till here's my finished page. For me, it's usually about an hour when I make the videos. I haven't made a video in so long. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I know I don't have to say hold on. Just had to drink something. So sometimes I get too excited and I start talking too fast. That's a problem. Okay. There we go, fast and slow. That's the other thing I like about the unrehearsed, is things seem to be serendipitous. I'm not sure we're going to find anything in here. And here's another page about cats. Yeah, we've been trying to get a cat for a while. Here's one about Charlie. Now, the reason that I'm pulling this out, and not just pulling, so it's about him on both sides. Now, it would seem like, oh, it would be very easy to just pull this page protector out and put it over here, except that usually I don't care in my albums if the page protectors are all mixed up, but these all happen to be the same. So for purposes of, if I'm going to leave them in this 3-ring binder, or a 3-ring binder similar to this for the service, I think I'd rather have them be consistent. Except, you know what? I don't think they are. That's so funny. They're both American Crafts. Yeah. And these are definitely longer than those. Alright, I take that back. I'm just going to pull them out with the page protector, because chances are I'm going to move these around anyways, at which point I still have to take them out. So these are all related to grandfather. And see, I've even used like an office type label to do, see that? Well, anyways, this is Grammy and Grandfather. So I will pull these pages about just grandfather. And if Grammy happens to be in there, that's fine. So there's another great one. 3 generations of builders. So here, this is a really, this story, so we won't take the back because that's my nephew through marriage. So there's a practical jokester side of the family, and he doesn't really have a comb over, but he grew his hair out long and then shaved it to make it look like he had a comb over. Anyways, what a silly guy. He's now making props for movies and TV shows like The Walking Dead and Goosebumps. Is that like a thing that just came out, Goosebumps? And like lots of stuff you would have heard of. He's making props for this guy here. Who, anyways, that's. Oh, here's another one about grandfather. So these are great. Here's another one that is about Grammy, but it really pictures their backyard, like what we would do in their backyard. So I'm going to pull that one too. And this one is an 8.5 by 11. So probably in the album, I'll throw in some 8.5 by 11 page protectors. So let's grab these out. And see, a lot of these are not, they're all different sides of the family. This is his brother, T.A. So, does it go in or not? I'm not sure, but because I'm not sure, I'm going to pull it anyways. And this one is Grammy. I think I'll pull that too. And this one. And this one. This is so cool. This is a letter from him in 1992, all about his service in the war. And what I did is I took the letters, shrunk them down so that you could read them all on one page, and then added his photo. This is really fun because I haven't seen a lot of these layouts in a really long time. Dinner at Grammy's, we went to the portrait studio and had the whole family pictured together. So this one is just about Grammy's father, so that one probably wouldn't make it in. But I think just to keep it kind of consistent is I'm going to keep it there because that will still be that part of the family. Alright, so now I'm done with this book. Throw this over here. So in my videos I also walk across the room to get usually pieces of white cardstock, but sometimes other things. So now I'm just going to, in no particular order, put these in just so they're all in one place. I imagine that I will be taking them out and rearranging them so that they make sense in an order that will make sense. But we're not there yet. The thing about, he had Alzheimer's, and the thing about Alzheimer's is, like the last couple of years, we knew him as grandfather with Alzheimer's, and it really makes you forget a lot about what the person was actually like before they had it, just because you get a lot of them after they've had it. So, like, it kind of, like, doesn't ruin your memory, but it definitely, like, okay, so now this is getting kind of fat. So I probably need to find a post-ban album just for him. I'm sure I can do that. But it really does. It kind of like infects your memory in kind of a way, or it puts I don't know. Like if a person just lives until they die, then you remember them as they were. But if they have this long illness at the end, then it's hard to really remember how they were before that. Alright, so here's grandparents. So this is going to be a lot, hopefully. Looks like more my mom than that side of the family. Yep. Oh, and here's another one that I made. I was wondering where this went. So when my mother's third husband died, I also made a scrapbook for her to use at his memorial back up in Massachusetts, which I didn't attend. But these were the pages from that. So this will be like the third, and I just, this is what because the book was so many pages, and because, you know, he was my stepfather who I never lived with. He was more like my mother's husband, you know what I mean? Anyways, there's lots of pictures and there's lots of papers in here that I don't necessarily, like, I'm not super sentimental about. But, so, I didn't want a whole album, because that takes up more space on the shelf. Poor Bob. But, so I put them all into these page protectors, but all of the page protectors have more than just two. So if there was a reason to get these all back out and to revisit, I could easily just take all of these out of these page protectors, put them back in, but this way it just saves on space. So I have them in 5 page protectors. There's probably like 20 or 30 pages here. But I made these from a paper pad, and the paper isn't all that thick, so they all fit in there, and they're just at the end of that album. So there you go on that. Okay, so as I was going to put those albums away, I noticed that this one isn't very full, and this one is like leather bound, and it has these little corner rounder protector things. Don't scratch tables. Now, the ones that We Are Memory Keepers are making now, I'll show you. I think this is them. Are more like this. I hate these. And I also hate this, because this will scratch your furniture. So I don't want to have this out at the memorial service, because it's going to scratch stuff up. This, nice and smooth. And now I bought these about 20 years ago at the craft store. These are We Are Memory Keepers, but it's from like a way long time ago. And I like these better. So let's use this. Or, actually, it might be nicer to use this one with the cutout. But anyways, if you're from We Are Memory Keepers, I prefer this kind of corner to this kind of corner. And the reason is to protect my furniture. So, yeah, I'm not going to show you I'm not going to film the taking out of all these, but I'm going to, I think, take the ones out of my dad and then put them into this album, and then this black album with the reason I like it for the service is it's got a little place in the front where I can put his picture. Yeah, there you go. You can see it a little bit there. Okay, hold on, and I'm going to do that. Hey, Scrapbookers, I'm back. We went to the orthodontist, we went to lunch, we went to Bed Bath & Beyond. So I also, during the break, I went through a bunch of other scrapbooks, pulled pages. So there's another example of some pages that I pulled, and pop them into page protectors in this 3-ring binder, which I have not put the pages in order yet, but we're going to do that in just a second. I also took pages from just like this pile that I call my recent layouts pile, which, you know, all my layouts kind of go in there in this pile on my exhibit shelf before I put them into albums. I used to have like a display thing that I used for that, but we just don't have the space for it right now. Also used to have an album that I used for that, but now they're just in a big, huge pile that the cat learned really quickly not to jump on because they would all slide off. But anyways, so I looked through that pile. The last book I wanted to show you here is this book called Family Tree. This is made by Bound and Determined. It's from 2005, so you probably still can't get it. Sorry about that dog barking. It's probably going to get a lot louder in my house in just a second. But anyways, this is a cool concept that I don't think they're still doing. So there's like this, there's these different folders. I have a couple of albums like this, and then it's a postbound album. Then there's pages that go behind that. So like the first folder is just, well, I didn't really put anything in that, but I was going to kind of tell the story of how I'm the family historian. And then the next slot is for the Scott family, which is my husband's family, then my dad's family, my mom's family, and then some other extended family. So I like this in the fact that it's got these dividers. I have some birthday albums like this, and for the kids, which is like each year is like that. But I don't think you can get this kind of album anymore. But completely love it. Anyways, even though this part was sectioned off for the Scotts, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this anyways, just because that looks like a good page. It's got his dad in it with a nice picture, and I'm not gonna take Scott ancestry or Scott women, because the book is really to deal with him. So if some of the layouts also have my mother-in-law in it, I'll pull them. But if they're just about the women, well, I'm going to skip that one. This is a letter from the Marine Corps about his honorable discharge in 1945, so I'll pull that too. And that will go in just a simple page protector. And then this is all about his brother's funeral. And so he was really, whoops, I don't know what just happened there. Hold on, I'll be back. Okay, I don't know. I'm still here having a little bit of technical difficulties. So this was his brother's obituary, or it was actually an article about him in the Times. His brother was the director of an airport here in St. Pete. And then this is actually pictures that my husband took from the funeral. What's pretty interesting is this is my mother-in-law's favorite picture of my father-in-law, except that's not her. I don't even know who that is, but she just cropped that, and that's the picture that she's using for all of the obituaries and death notices and all that sort of thing. The program that we're using for the funeral, the memorial service. So I'm just going to pull this one too, just because it kind of matches. And then this could just go like that. Looks like I put that paper together. So let's go ahead and start to put this album together. And this is an album that will go together, I think, chronologically. So let's just see. And then we can kind of see what the gaps are. So first off, I am going to just slide these in. And sorry, my dog is barking like crazy down there. It's January here in Florida, and it's been a really hot year, and we're getting our first cold snap, but I think because it's been so warm, we've gotten all these white pelicans, and then we're also having red tide, and so there's all these buzzards out there. So there's been a lot of bird activity, and so see, I can look out my window and see hundreds of white pelicans and black buzzards. For real. And they're huge. Both types of birds are huge, and so I think my dog is down there barking about both of those things. So that's what you're hearing. Okay, should I take everything out? Yes, let's do that. So I put everything in. Now we're going to take everything out. That doesn't make any sense, does it? Well, oh well. But we're going to try to identify the gaps too. So let me just get a piece of paper where I can maybe write down some of the things. Okay. It's like a pathetic looking paper pad. but we're going to use it anyway. So, pages to make grandfather. Oh, my handwriting gets worse and worse. That's okay. Okay, so I'll just put that off to the side, and when I think of something, I'll just write that down. So here, I'm going to take out this little tabby thing that was in the album. It's just like, you can get these tabs like at an office supply, and they're like Post-it notes. You can re-stick them, so they're really handy. I don't love the color, but they're handy in that you can section off your book in a temporary kind of way. So what I'm going to do, I think, is just start with whatever I come up with over here and put it in, and then well, let's see how it goes. Here comes the kitty cat. Okay. So one thing we might want to do is think of it as some of the middle years. Like, here's this reindeer that he made. That could either go under like a things we do category, or a, oh, that just came off. This little love sticker. This is a metal sticker. This is why sometimes it's fun to go through your, it's not fun, it's a pain in the, to go through your scrapbooks and make sure everything still sticks. So to solve that, just went over to my adhesive drawer, and this probably isn't the most effective, but it's going to do the job. These are Thermoweb sticky dots, and I am going to hopefully just stick that right back in there. Hopefully that's going to work. So, but if that fell off altogether and we never saw it again, I guess you can still kind of see that it said love, but this is just a little metal element that says love. So my father and mother-in-law were married in January of 1942. I think that's right after Pearl Harbor. So they were married for something like almost 73 years, I think it was. Like, he died just short of that, like 4 days short of that. They would have been married 73 years, isn't that crazy? Okay, so this was at 65 years. So maybe there will be a little section about he and Ethel. Okay. Then this is more current, so that's going to go in the back. This is when he was getting, he had Alzheimer's for sure. It's funny because in those last few years, it's kind of hard to figure out, like, when, like how long he had it, You don't really write that stuff down, but I guess if I was doing Project Life, that might have helped. So here's something about the war. Maybe that's the thing, is like, I feel like I need Post-it notes. So maybe the sections. So these are pages to make. We'll put that over here. Then sections. So there's going to be like World War II, Ethel, grandfather, how about building, and clever, because he built things and he was clever. So this will go in there. This is the Ethel section. This is the, I don't know, this is going to kind of go into, even though this is a story from, we went to lunch with these friends of theirs, but they were talking about memories from World War II. And then this is about my mother-in-law, but it's about her time during World War II. And the cat is super interested in that page. So we're going to put that here. And then this page is a page that I made with him. He actually was there with me. It was when my mother-in-law was in the hospital with a heart problem last May. So this is going to be one of those more recent pictures. And I need a smaller, I need those page protectors that are 8.5 by 11. Sorry if this is making the desk move. but no, I thought I had some in there. Anyways, this is kind of going to go in this part. That will be like the more recent stuff. Okay, kitty. I hope she's not, well, okay, here's some of his cleverness. So building, he was, could build anything, but he could throw a cast net. And so let's put that in with this reindeer stuff. So I thought it would be chronological, and it will to a certain extent. I've got some extra pages here that I'm just going to put right in the front. Just because I'm going to plan on making some pages, and then I'll just pop them in the front and then put them where they go. Here's the page about World War II, his discharge from World War II. So let's put that here. And then as you can see, a lot of these pages, they're not, there's nothing on the back. So when I'm really closer to being ready, that's when I'll clear up all the gaps. Yeah. I like this as a title page just because it's, I don't know, just because it has my husband on it and I think he'll like that. There we go. That just makes for a nice title page at this point. I might make another title page that's just devoted to him, but for now we'll do it like that. So now I have his brother's obituary. So I'm going to put that after the section on Ethel, but before this section of him now. Because, the reason I include it is because he really loved his brother. Often he would come over and say, did T.A., they called him T.A., T.A. told me to feed Duke, and Duke was our dog who died, and T.A. was dead, and I would say something like, well, if I see them, I'll let them know. They haven't seen them today. Instead of saying, they're dead. But there he is, T.A. Scott. And so that is, let's go ahead and, that's the farewell to T.A. Maybe let's move this to the back of that little section. And so, like, his daughter will be coming to the funeral, and so I think they would enjoy seeing that page. Okay, then we're back to, there's the 70th anniversary, so that's after the 65th, so we'll put it here. And then this is just kind of everyday life. This is like, we used to, okay, here's a one that's about Grammy and Grandfather, 2007. Okay, here we go. This was, I don't know what year this was. I'm just going to put this here anyways. And this is kind of about, everyday life, as we would go next door and have dinner next door quite a bit. I'm just going to put that here. It's after the cleverness section, but before the Ethel section. I think that makes sense. Okay. There's one. So these are both 65 years. So when I put this one in, hold on just a second. We will, this is the part of the video where I get worried that you're getting bored. So I hope you're not, but if you are, just fast forward or go to the next one, I don't know. So there we go. But I did kind of want to show you how this book is going to kind of come together. I'm just going to keep talking because that's what I do. Okay. But I am going to pause for a sec. Okay, I'm back. So now we have the World War II letter. And this was like after the war. So let's put that, this was 1992 that he wrote this letter. So let's, oops. Oh, I think that dinner at Grammy's went with that other page. So there's a good point. See, this is why I do it in real time, is I will discover things and want to tell you about them. if I didn't do this in real time, you might not know that I separated this from the other half of the layout. So if you're messing with your albums and you're pulling things from your albums, make sure you don't do that. Okay, so there we go. So this is going to go here, Dinner at Grammy's. So that's right. That's a 2-pager. So I don't often have, you know, I don't make a lot of 2-page layouts, but I do have some, and I try to, I do try to keep them together. I know there's a trick of sewing the 2 pages together. Oh, I was meant to tell you another trick. So what I was just having a problem with is putting this page into the same page protector as this page, which has the, you know, I put a brad on it this side, so it has those little prongy things. And what you can do is just take some regular tape, or I don't see any regular, oh, here's some regular tape, or washi tape, either way. Washi tape is probably, I'm going to guess it's a, you know, archival. I'm not that worried about whether it is or not. But if you just tape the side that has those little prongs from the, don't worry, I'm going to try not to cut myself here. The little prongs from the brads, then when you put them in the page protectors, it's going to be a lot easier. You won't catch it on the other page. And I usually do that, but this page is so old that I don't think I was doing it at the time. This one's from 2007. So we'll put this one in first. And I'm actually going to put it in this way because the brads will catch on the top of that page protector. And now I can put it, oh, I didn't get them on there either. Brads all around. That's one of the jokes we have over at Get It Scrapped, is put a brad on it. So if you put a brad on it, just put the tape on the back of where the brad is, just so that it's not catching against other things in your albums. It'll make your life easier. Trust me. Okay, here comes the kitty again. All right. So now we have Scott Family Neighbors. Like that. And then this was one where this is about Ethel's dad, but I think I'm just going to leave it in there anyways. It'll be fine. So this will be, I think this will be the section opener. I don't know. It's going here. And the thing is like when people are looking through it, they're not going to be, and see, this is one of those situations where I'd move this over here, but I'm not there yet, so I'm not going to worry about that as I'm making it. Yeah. Alright, so this was the war, and then this is the kind of life today with my in-laws living next door. But a way long time ago, they used to have a house up in Georgia, and when I was dating my husband, we would go up to visit. So I will... Oh, and this is going to work kind of perfectly because there's Grammy's kitchen here, and then that's the, so I'm just going to leave this here. So there's a lot that's going to have to do with my mother-in-law, which is totally fine. Okay. Then grandfather. This is really about him in his backyard, although it would also make a good page for kind of at the beginning of the book, but I think that I will just, I'll put it in here. And then this was also a double whammy with Grammy. So that'll be there. Oh, I think my cat just farted. Not only is she walking in front of this, but I think she just farted for real. Okay, this is also from the backyard, so that's going to kind of go in that. So the building clever, and I think more what I want to say is that they were our neighbors. So that's going to be that little subcategory. Okay. Then I'll just put this here. Well, this is 2013. That's 2007. I'll put this here. So I think before this whole neighbors thing is we'll do the section where they were in Georgia. So maybe I'll put TA's section in there. That would make a little more sense. Because they both, the two brothers, married two sisters, but they also bought houses up in Georgia. We are going to pull this actually. And then this will go here. Anyways, they lived next door to each other up there, which is why I think he thought my house is where his brother lived, because we live next door to them here. So that makes a little bit more sense. But he also had this whole time where he would go traveling, which was kind of before the Georgia time. And they used to do a lot of RVing. So we'll put that after the war, before Georgia. Here's one from Georgia. And then this is a builder, so we're going to pull that one. This will go, here's the Georgia section. Alright, maybe this can go here in this, stop it! This Georgia section. And they, you know, the sections don't really need to be, you can kind of separate them out, but you don't have to. I don't think you have to. But I am going to pull the TA section, because he was in Georgia, out, and put that over here. Boy, that's some neon green. Let's cut that down a little bit, because that's just crazy. It's kind of like, this neon green is overwhelming, and I think it's a little bit too tall for the album, so I'm just going to... Why did I use neon green? Probably it was some kind of crazy scrapbooking challenge, no doubt. Or I don't know why, but it's kind of a shocking green. Yeah, it's very fluorescent, isn't it? Beautiful. You see? Oh, Evie! Her name is Evie, but I just call her Kitty. I think she was just looking at herself. So maybe that's the secret to why the cats love to be involved in scrapbooking. A lot of times I Get It Scrapped will have a, so there's TA Scott, and then this little mini section on him. But he was in Georgia with him, so that kind of makes sense. And then Scott Family Neighbors. We'll go with that. And then the 3 generations of builders would be good with that picture of the hammer, right? I mean, I think this could also work. I think I like this better. So what am I missing in this book? What stories are not told but should be told in terms of his life? Okay. So I don't have anything about his work at Florida Power. I don't have our wedding, because he was the official at our wedding. I don't have his childhood, but again, that other book, so I'll put a question mark after that. That other book really deals with his childhood, that autobiography that he wrote that I illustrated. But we don't have a lot of pictures from then. Let's just look at this for a second and think of, like, what do I want to tell that's not in here? So there's family, maybe like a tribute page with his dates, you know, birth to death. That might be it. That might be a good thing. And then maybe a photo of the house. And there's Georgia. So I'm getting a lot of, and there's his brother who was really important to him. Then our kind of like daily life with having Grammy and Grandpa there next door. Dinner at Grammy's. And then his relationship with Ethel. And so we might want like a younger photo of Charlie and Ethel to tell the story of how they had this whole secret marriage thing. They really did. It's a really interesting story. And then maybe Charlie's, my husband's, eulogy. He wrote a whole eulogy. So that's going to make the book more complete. So what I'll probably do is have, this is the part 1 of the tribute book. And then I'm going to make some pages and then fill them in. And then we'll do a layout share as the final part. And this will be, I'll pop a photo onto the front. And then this will be something that is on display at the memorial service. Okay. Yes, that's all. Thanks for watching. I'm Katie Scott. Hey Scrapbookers, it's Katie Scott, and I am back to scrapbooking. Hopefully, I get a cat. It's true. I made some little spots in my, we're going to do that again.